Welcome to Right There With You, where we lean into life's biggest questions, challenge what we think we know, and discover the strength we've had all along.
This is my friend and co-host, Ciarra Jones, theologian and lifelong explorer of faith, identity, and purpose.
And say hello to my co-host and buddy, Cass Cooper, a professional chaos whisperer who loves untangling the complexities of human relationships.
Here we embrace the journey, no matter how uncertainty or transformative it gets.
And no matter where you are on yours, we're right there with you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the pod. I'm Cass.
What's up, everybody? My name is Ciarra. And Cass, what are we talking about today? Tell the people what we're talking about today.
So this is our kickoff to season 2, and it is so evident that we need this because we're dedicating this entire season to corporate life, corporate Black girls' life, Black girls who want to get into corporate life, Black girls who want to get out of corporate life, what our life is like inside of it, because we both run consultancies doing similar but different things. We're both speakers and workshop builders and educators, but we also both have our 9 to 5. So we've got our jobby job, and we got our 5 to 9, which is our passion hustle projects. And how do we bring that all together is basically what we're talking about today. 300,000, over 250,000 Black women have been removed or have removed themselves, combination thereof, from work life and corporate life. That's a touchstone for where we are with the economy and culture in general. Where do you want to kick it off? Like, first of all, we both came in hot. Like, this day has been whack-do.
It's been a long day. I had a client meeting today. A class had some other work meetings today. And I was telling Cass, the hard thing about running a consultancy is sometimes you don't know how a meeting went. And so I was just reflecting, and thinking, I have an evaluation, so of course I'll send that out. But over Zoom, sometimes you can't assess sometimes how much folks are connecting or not. And when we talk about, 300,000 Black women getting laid off, it's, one slice of evidence around how Trump is impacting the workforce. Overall, people are just sadder. I come into Zooms more and there's an energy there. Even today, I started my client meeting and I'm going straight into my check-in question. What did you take away last session? What do you want to do this session? And then I just felt something in my heart say, actually just ask them how they are. So I said, actually forget the question, how is everyone just doing? How are people feeling? And people are burned out. There's so much urgency. A lot of my clients are in the policy space, so they're stressed out. So I think just thinking about what does it look like to take care of myself in this time? What does it look like for us to be well as Black women? But also, what does it just in people's affect as I work with them?
Yeah. So it actually ties to the workshop that I did yesterday, which is Harmony Not Hustle, which is one of my signature keynotes. And it's this whole idea. I noticed on the call, so many women specific, because it was a group of women who work in technology, and so many of us are just lacking space. Not and typically I would say safe space, but I think to your point of just having space or just dedicated down space on your calendar to be able to ideate, to be creative, to spend the right amount of time with your family. And there's so many of us that are on the verge of burnout because of the pressures that are just caving in all around us. And I think I just want to give honor to that, not for the people who are potentially listening, but for us, the two of us. I feel like there's this, as practitioners who talk so much about having these healthy spaces, both of us still struggle with maintaining healthy space. And I realized in my talk yesterday that so much of the work that I get to do in my 5 to 9 is really speaking to my own stuff. Right. And I'm able to use my real life experience, hopefully to impact and encourage someone else. But then I was reminded, I be getting tired too. And I was we were talking about, someone asked okay, well, yeah, but you still have the same amount of work and home things that you need to do. And I reminded myself, outsource. I'm one of those people, I get no joy from cleaning my house. Absolutely none. None. It is not. Some people are the types, they get energy. They want to make sure, let me think. And while I clean and music and all. No, absolutely not. I hate it. I don't want it. And I was no, I outsource that so that I can have space on my calendar, not so that I can fill it with something else. And so I'm
Mm.
like, "You know what? Let me make sure I cancel whatever meetings I have because the housekeepers are coming on Friday, and let me cancel and make sure that during the time that they're here, I'm laying around doing nothing."
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally
No.
during that time, not to save me time to fill it with something else, save me time because I can just sit here and drink my coffee
Mhm.
leisurely.
Mhm. It's time to actually experience as having time. Like, not just yeah. No, I think that's real. I think there's definitely a lot of things I really appreciate the emphasis on well-being, I think, for Black women and what that looks like, and I'm definitely learning. Cass knows I did hire my partner as our project manager now, so that is helpful.
Love,
We had a meeting yesterday and knocked
which
off
high key makes me sick because I'm gonna be sick of y'all because you're so damn cute.
but that's
Like,
helped a lot. Like, I've had to
your
out
work it's like the care to even offer that, but then also, like, your care to be like, "Yes, it's like, I do need the help."
Mm.
And I love watching, like, as you relinquish control, it's almost like she loves you. It's great.
We got a little love thing going on. But, that has helped a lot, like, just letting go of parts of the business or, like, I used to do my website myself, then I hired Cass and I's friend Adam, who's amazing, putting Adam on
Shout
hire
out.
Adam.
Who also
His
has a podcast, and he will be a
yes,
guest this season, Queerly
that's
Overthinking, little plug.
yes,
He started his own Patreon, so if you're not a member of
yes.
that, we'll put it in the show notes, but yeah,
No,
Adam
but he's
Harper,
doing
amazing.
he's yes, he's amazing, so hiring him and what's cool is, like, all these people are in my community, so just asking for help, like, I used to do my own website, now I'll do it with Adam, like, taking things off my plate has been really important, but I think also, like, for example, right now, I just ran that talk and my whole internal is negative, like, I'm thinking about what didn't I'm just thinking about that's all I'm thinking about is, like, what didn't
Really?
go well, and so I think maybe just trying to and I don't know what went well or what didn't because I haven't done the evaluation yet, but I think, like, how can I hold be proud of myself for what I've built, for what I'm doing. Remember that every client engagement is learning, remembering not to internalize everyone's how they receive it or don't receive it so much, like also internal monologue of wellness. That's a
Yeah.
little I think for Black women, we not only do we deal with hard job markets, we also really internalize how the market treats us and what we experience professionally. It's hard.
Yeah, which is so much of what I wanna encourage people is like, yo, some of the feelings that we don't take everything so personally, and I don't mean to be like,
Yes.
"Oh, well, it's not about me," and that's not what I mean. I mean, it's like it's thinking about how there are these systems and structures of racism, sexism, misogyny, capitalism. I find that the more I understand those things, the easier it is for me to not take things personally when they happen in the workplace because,
Mhm.
well, that's a personification of white supremacy, or that is that person's own emotional irregulation coming into this space. And I think sometimes we think of our healing journey about being about how can I better cope? For me, a big time thing and benefit of it is of my healing journey is being able to recognize the lack of healing in the spaces around me. Not
Yes.
necessarily
Come
that
on.
I can get out of them, which hopefully you can. You like find yourself a new home if it's really that unhealthy, but that I can recognize, no, that is not a me problem. That
Yeah.
is a them problem.
Yeah.
And I can maneuver and strategize around it. And I think Black, brown, queer people, we do that so much just to function and survive
Yeah.
that it makes it hard to recognize that as a skill
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
actually helps you in your day-to-day jobby job.
Yes, absolutely. Cass knows I mean, my handle is a gardening theologian, and I care a lot about, like, what plants and ecology teach us about, like, organizational systems, but also even family systems and our relationship with ourselves, and I only think about the environment of that garden. The environment of that garden is as healthy as my unhealthiest plant. So, like, say my zucchini is thriving, but my, like, jalapeno plant, which is happening right now, is not thriving, like, then I think about, "Okay, the health of my garden is here because this is the person that's suffering the most in this community or the entity that's suffering the most. So I need to tend to them so the whole community can be well. And I think for Black women and stuff, we tend to think like, I'm feeling this way because like this community is great, but I am something's wrong with me. What's wrong with me that I'm not fitting in here? What's wrong with me? I'm not doing well. But actually, your lack of wellness in that community is indicative of the health of that community. And
Yeah.
that is not a sign for you to shame yourself, but to say, oh my goodness, like I'm feeling unwell because this community, as you mentioned, is unwell. And so I think we have to think we frame the person who is least included as the outlier, but they're actually our metric for what is happening in that community, you know?
And in sociology, we call that group as a whole theory.
I didn't even know about that. Okay,
Come on, let's put these degrees to work, honey. Yeah, the whole idea that the group takes on the persona of typically it is the least healthy person in the environment, like you said, but it can also be the emotional state of that group of people, right? So in our family
mhm.
structures, that can be a thing of the person and that works in our benefit because when we have children and we have
Mm,
small like budding people in our environment, like we do have to take on the emotional state of that thing in order to care for it. But
yeah.
it also can be unhealthy because you have people who maybe are adults and are incapable of that same amount of emotional regulation that the group requires. And so we all come down to that level rather
Mhm.
than attending to that little bit so that we can elevate it. And the least healthy corporate environments are always going to be catering to that toxic thing instead of trying to
Mhm.
elevate it. And that's what I actually really like about the work that I'm able to do in my 5 to 9 is develop those skills and identify them of okay, you have an issue, a challenge or a problem. Let's fix the least healthy thing like you said. Let's attend to the jalapenos so that
Mm.
I love that they're also spicy because
I
sometimes
know, yeah, it's true,
those
yeah.
people be like a little spicy outliers and you're like,
Yeah.
but let's attend to the jalapenos so that we can all be thriving zucchinis, you know,
Yes.
and get there. And I think so many people, like you said, it's like we think that we are the issue and we are the problem, but that is a cultural problem. I need to not gaslight myself into thinking I'm the issue all the time. Now, there's things I can
Mm.
work on, absolutely, but I don't want it to be always holding that and being responsible because then you become responsible primarily for fixing it also, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think I feel that I definitely comes up for me more in my consulting work, I guess, because it feels like it's a manifestation of, or a reflection of me. Comes up a little less sometimes. Well, because in corporate environments too. And I think what's interesting is in every corporate environment that I've been in, as Cass knows, I've typically called out like experiences of mistreatment. And it is surprising to me like how much people are not aware of their behavior. And I'm not saying that as a way to pass, like not as a way to like make them not accountable, but I think like people really are in their own world as well, y'all. Like people have their norm, like people have work, then they have their interpersonal life, then they have other things. And a lot of us, including our executive leaders and managers, are bringing in so much chronic stress. Like, I think we just are not well at work. And I see how that comes out. And again, it's been interesting for me and illuminating as someone who does typically call out when things are just off culturally or are creating barriers to inclusion. And yeah, every time the perpetrator is like so surprised and so shocked. And I used to think that see that as a performance, but now I do see that I think people do have a deep lack of self-awareness, and I think a lot of people are bringing in their same, like, if you have a marriage where you have poor conflict resolution skills, why wouldn't you have poor conflict resolution skills at work? You know, like, people are bringing in their level of emotional maturity, which can cause harm. Yes, it still causes harm, but it is not coming from necessarily malice. It is just a genuine lack of skill. A lot of our managers and leaders have no
No
interpersonal skill.
skills.
You know,
Yeah.
they don't have the skill.
Well, and I think it's the, World Economic Leadership Forum said that soft skills are the skills that most people need to work on if they're gonna be
Yeah.
successful in the next 5, 10, 15 years of corporate work and corporate life.
$1,000%.
We used to really see that as something, okay, because I can teach you how to read a P&L. Like,
Yeah.
I can listen, profit and loss statement, this is the top line, this is the bottom line, this is what you paid, this is I could teach you how to read that and what these numbers mean. It's a lot harder to teach you how to actively read someone's body language.
Mm, mm,
And I think that because that requires a level of intuitiveness, that requires a level of, even caring and,
mhm.
like, softness there, but then it also would require you to understand your own body language and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
that can be perceived,
Yes.
and I think and this is where I have a talk called the soft skills strategy, and it is about those soft skills that you can use as a person of color in an underrepresented group that you probably use in just coping in
Mm,
order to strategize your next move in your corporate entity, in your corporate environment, right?
mm, mhm,
I also think about you're right, like, people don't know how they come across,
mhm,
and I'm
mhm.
so guilty of like, just I think of the girl I had coffee with a few weeks ago, and she really saw me in high school as this, like, attitudinal black girl. And I'm like, that is so far from
Who you are? Yeah, it is
who I
crazy.
was, who I am, but she read all these stereotypes
Yeah.
onto me, and that is how she sees me.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do I do with that?
Yeah. I think for Black women, there is this our own strong sense of self can be really protective against people's projections onto who we are. Like I have a lot of energy, and I know for me, like the biggest feedback I've gotten in workplaces has been like that I'm seen as like goofy or not serious, and I've checked that a lot. Of like, why does Black joy automatically lack intelligence? You might see it as minstrelsy, but like that's not how I perceive myself. So what's happening with you that like if I don't perform your white man stoicism, I'm stupid. Like, what's happening there?
Yeah.
And I think, like, that comes up, but I say for Black women, we often deal with what I call my work, like, a huge perception gap. I guess Du Bois would call that, like, a double consciousness. I think for Black women, it's a triple consciousness because it's race, gender, and I think also our sexuality comes in there.
Economics comes into play.
Economics, yeah, absolutely. Level of educational attainment. So I think it's hard because these spaces for like a white man to come into work and be successful, like his success does not threaten the status quo. For Black women, our presence in corporate spaces already threatens the status quo that says only white people should access them. And then I think on top of that, if we are really shy in our job, it's like I guess it's a threat. Like you're treated like you're acting out of place because your success itself is challenging the
Mm.
status quo. And so it's hard because we get everyone's projected feelings about how they feel about a Black woman eclipsing them, how they feel about a Black woman being more impressive than them. And that's all about them. That's all their story, their stuff. But for them to feel better, they do put it onto us. And I do think, yeah, knowing ourselves, I think in the work environment is very self protective when it comes to the bullshit because there's going to be a lot of bullshit, you know?
And this is, and as I've gotten older and moved into different corporate spaces, because I've been in and out of corporate for the entirety of my career. Like I worked as in hospitality for a long time, then I did like corporate event sales, and then I went back to hospitality. I was an executive assistant, like I was a chief. What do they even call it? Like it's not like an executive assistant, but like chief of staff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Can't
Yeah,
even think of the word, but I was a chief of staff. I was all these different roles, and now being back in the corporate life, part of I think my coping mechanism is I kind of care less, and it's not that I care less about the job itself. I
yeah.
care less about what people think about the way that I go about doing the job, because what inevitably has happened is at some point the way that I do things and the way that I shine becomes the blueprint for the way other people could be doing things.
Mm,
And
mm,
so the very same people who at the very beginning were like, "I don't know why you do it like that," or are jealous because of the, because one thing, I'm a master networker. I know that
mhm,
about myself. I
mm.
can, I mean, hell, we met because I slid into your DMs and I was
Yeah,
like, "Hey, I think you would be great for this," right? And that's a strength that I have
it
cultivated
is.
over years and years and years. And people are like, "I don't understand why this, that, da 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 da. She's always online. She's always present. Da da da. She's going to these events." But when you need something from one of my contacts, you're real quick to ask me for their phone number.
Mm,
And
mm,
so I like the thing that becomes my strength is the thing that ultimately the organization needs.
mm, mm,
And so I'm like, well, I'm just going to care less about at the beginning, I'm going to care less about why you're critiquing me and kind
mm,
of do my own thing because I know I have had that happen so many times of, wait, actually, it would be really great for ABC XYZ to be, like,
absolutely.
that's actually a strategy, and I think to the point of, I see your joy that you bring to work environments as tactical.
Me too, but thank you for saying that.
Well, it's intentional. Well, but I think because I know you, it's intentional. You are intentionally you can be very serious.
Mhm, mhm.
I mean, the woman went to Harvard, y'all. I'm sorry. I know that that's like, no, you
Thank you.
graduated from the same school that Michelle Obama went to. Like, come on.
Michelle Obama, she's
I
like,
mean, and
oh
that
my
she's not the only, like, the boys, you are, like, in there, honey. Like, I went to OU, but no, just kidding. I love OU. Love
amazing.
OU. I love OU. Boomer
Brilliant
Center.
teams and, like, obviously, like, I appreciate education's important and, like, I wanna highlight there's so many types of intelligences and power and strengths that we bring, and you are incredible, okay? So, let's get real and your school ain't too freaking shabby, okay?
Also true. Like, I
He
did go to undergrad at DePaul University,
come
but
on, no, Cass is educated and incredible.
I say that to say, we can put it on if
Yeah.
we need to.
Yeah,
Put
exactly.
some
Why?
respect on it. But
Yeah,
also know that joy is resistance. Joy is tactical. And what
exactly.
better way to show leadership through the strength of the joy you bring to
Mm,
whatever environment you're in?
mm,
Like, I'm not gonna lead you down a trail of being sad and depressed because anybody can do that.
yeah,
Look outside. But to be able to say, "How are you really?" And to leave that conversation with people feeling better than what they started, that's leadership right there.
Thank you
That's
for saying
what
that.
everybody we need more of that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for saying that. I think you're also highlighting something really important, which is in workplaces, we prioritize the performance of like intellect versus people who actually have the skills to connect,
Right.
people who actually have the skills to collaborate and mobilize teams in a healthy way. And like, I think this like idea that we need this hyper masculinity back at work, and I see it permeating the culture, at least even for me in DEI, this idea that like we need to be hyper intellectual, that we need to display our power by not showing affect, by leaning into objectivity, by not caring about how people feel, by operating as business as usual. And so I think also as we have this anti DEI backlash, I see it coming into workplace culture. And I think like at least in COVID, I think there was some idea that work and well-being are tied, and now I find it harder to push forward that narrative. I don't know how it shows up in your work or if you see that too, but
Yeah, so, being in the tech space, I mean, everybody thinks that there's this objectivity, right? Like, that is the underlining assumption is that tech is ethically neutral.
mm,
Which the more I, read between the lines, it's like, well, we're all choosing what products we develop, where we sell them, how we sell them, who has access to them. These are choices that
mm,
people are making on a daily basis.
mm,
And so it's not accidental that AI is harming the environment. Someone made the choice to care or not care. And
mm,
so, it's not accidental what gets reported on different tech websites and what, like, that is all a mechanism of the environment, right?
mm,
And I think so there's this assumption that, "Oh, well, we don't have these problems there because we are so objective." And
mm,
I would argue that if you just look at the tech ecosystem overall, like, there is no objectivity, evidenced
mhm,
by the fact that the people who use the technology are not the people who are developing the technology.
mm,
And so if I'm marketing to a specific subset and I want them to do that, I have to have a subjectivity in its development, like, by
mm,
design. And
mhm,
so, to answer your question, I do see people as like, "Oh, well, we don't have these problems here," but then you're like, "But just use your eyes, like,
mm,
look around."
absolutely, absolutely. I wanna talk a little bit more about AI. As you think about the 3,000 layoffs or 300,000 layoffs of Black women, you've also talked a lot about AI.
Oh, yeah,
Are
that's
you seeing
my
something there? No. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what's your question? Just
Like, just like, I don't you mentioned, like, AI and subjectivity and some other things. I'm just curious, like, if you
Yeah.
relate to this moment at all.
So, I think the prevailing narrative is that AI is coming for your job.
Mhm,
I don't think that AI is coming for your job.
mm,
I really just don't. I
mm,
think that people who are better educated, it's becoming a form of literacy. So the
mm,
people who are more literate in AI are the ones who are gonna have a strategic advantage.
yeah.
Mostly because we can be more productive, right? We can get more done with less, and that
Mhm,
that is the issue. So, and to me, that's about efficiency.
yeah.
And so the employee who is the most efficient is gonna be the employee who succeeds.
Mm,
And that goes with anything. If I going back to education, if I know a way to do this in half the time, then that hopefully allows me to be more beneficial to my organization. Well, if I can cut that half into another half using AI, that
mm,
again helps the organization. Now, are there certain things that are going to be automated? Absolutely. But I
mhm,
think this idea that AI is just going to be rampant is
mhm,
a misnomer
mm,
because honestly, artificial intelligence has been around for 50 years.
yeah.
It's the backbone of the technology we use. We all
Mhm,
have some sort of automated assistant in our pocket.
mm.
And so what's different now in the last 2
Mm,
to 3 years is that it's more open and accessible for everyday use. There's
yeah.
more applications that can help automate your day-to-day life and so I think that's what scares people is like,
Mm,
"Oh, I'm not actually ever talking." We all have had that experience when you call like an 800 number and you just want to talk to a person, but you can't get through. Like that's AI's use
mhm,
case. But they
mm,
use that in order to develop the voice automated systems that we use on our phones.
yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
like, I think right now is the time where if you're not engaged, it's a literacy question. If you're not asking
Mm,
questions about how to use different prompts and different spaces, and whether it be ChatGPT, Claude, I just downloaded a new one. It's got an AI assistant, and you can basically like,
Claude is too it sounds too real. I
I
sound
was,
like well,
I'm not even lying.
I
Like,
saw
I
the
was,
video AI psychosis on, TikTok, talking to Claude. I said, Claude is
yo, but listen, ChatGPT, my boy Hudson be giving me good information. But
here's ChatGPT too. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's because I trained it and I programmed it on the back end because I was
Mm,
curious. I was curious,
mhm.
like, okay, well, I don't want it to just spit out what I'm already telling it or telling me everything's a good idea. I want it to be like a sparring
Critical,
partner and
yeah,
intellectually, keep me
yeah,
on my toes.
yeah,
So I built my own.
yeah.
I think like
Can
being,
we
but
pause and be like, she built her own GPT? Very cool. I guess I wanna ask, like, do you feel like as you think about Black women layoffs, do you feel like Black women should lean into AI literacy then, it sounds like?
100%.
Okay, okay.
100%.
Yeah.
There are not just, AI literacy, but cybersecurity literacy also, which is a whole
Mhm,
'nother subset, but
mhm,
the interconnected of those, the reality is AI and cybersecurity between now and I think 2030, and I'll have to look up this statistic, but between now and 2030, there are gonna be 3 million new jobs created because of cybersecurity. There's a need. There's a
wow,
distinct need for people in cybersecurity. If
wow.
you can be a AI cybersecurity, and it's not just coding, right? Because
Mhm,
everyone thinks it's like zeros and ones and I got to figure out how to code stuff. No, but like helping it train and have new thought leadership, finding old digitizing archives, right? We're losing so much information because nothing is on paper. So we've got to have people who are like archaeologists and go out
mm,
and find these things so that we can put the like that's a job, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um and so if I lose my 9 to 5 today, the
mhm,
first thing I would do is I would make sure my internet connection is strong,
mm,
and I would get on these Google and, LinkedIn Learning, and even there's all these organizations that have free cybersecurity training,
mhm,
and you get these certifications, and you can
mhm,
write your ticket. You are
mhm,
on the road to multi six figures
mhm,
in
mhm,
not a lot of time, but you gotta have the literacy behind it.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
and or if you're a solopreneur and you wanna build a business and something like that doesn't exist right now, you see a need, see a problem, you can do that too.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can build an app in hours.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think also like something I think about post layoffs is like really sitting down. Like for me, I've worked primarily in three industries, which is content. I used to work like in fintech doing content there, diversity, equity, inclusion, but that also correlates well with like people. Oftentimes in tech is called people work or people culture or people specialists or like HR. I just get my HR certificate, but I could work in that bucket. And then I also work in like progressive religion. And I think that something I really encourage Black women to do is like dust off your degrees, look at your resume. What are your transferable skills? Because for me, like my undergrad is in American studies, master's in theology, and that doesn't really maybe clarify what my career path was going to be. But what helped me with my career pathing was what are the core skills I've learned? And in American Studies and Theology, it's research and analysis, which bodes well for people and culture work because you often analyze surveys and things like that. But really looking at what are the pivots that you can make? Because I think in moments like this, pivoting is a superpower. And the last big market pivot I worked in was COVID. Obviously, COVID was a positive market change because more jobs were present. But that's when I pivoted to tech, and that was unexpected pivot for me to be in fintech from from being a diversity lead in higher ed to working in tech. So I also really want to encourage Black women to like really accept the pivot in this moment. Maybe there's a little bit of time you have to work in the industry you don't maybe see yourself in forever, just so you can feel sustained in this time. And I don't want folks to feel afraid of that pivot. It's part of
Yeah, I 100% like I 100% agree. The pivot is a superpower. Put it on a
Yeah.
t-shirt, man. Let's get some merch.
Nice.
I wholeheartedly agree because my undergrad is in women's and gender studies, and I thought I was going to be write books on history. I thought I was going to be a history professor because I was so passionate about people learning their history and understanding it. And then I realized I like people too much and I don't want to be in a research lab and like
Mhm.
doing, I like social analysis and, but I didn't want to do that. So
Yeah.
I didn't go back and get my master's until the pandemic when I was making a distinct turn and pivot
Mhm.
into
Mhm.
doing more equity and inclusion work, but then also organizational development because we spend so much time within these organizations. How are they developing us as people? And why is
Mhm.
that such a hard thing for organizations to understand? And how does the law
Mhm.
impact that? Those were
Mhm.
things that I was just really interested in from undergrad, but I
Mm.
never really saw it like having a thread
Yeah.
until I had work experience where I was not getting the things that I wanted.
Yeah.
So, again, I saw a need and I saw
Yeah.
something I'm passionate about and the ability to, like, transfer those skills into the same thing. I think
Mm.
also we underestimate the power of being able to run in your own lane
Yes.
because the culture vilifies that so much, especially for Black and
Yeah.
brown women, but, like, yo, there's something out there, I promise you, there's something out there that has not been thought of that is in someone's mind and in their heart, and they really want to do it, but because of either their own head trash, their own lack of resources, not leaning into their community and finding the people that know more about them, not wanting to look silly on the internet, whatever that means, 'cause we look silly on the internet every day, you and me. So, like, there's something there that
I
once
look
you get
very cool on the internet every day, actually.
actually, you
I'm just
do.
kidding.
You're so much cooler than
No,
me
I
because 'cause
look
I'll be on
crazy silly.
I don't know. But, I mean,
No,
it's
I
and
look
it's
super
putting
innocent.
yourself out there to be critiqued, and I
It's
think that's
goofy. It's goofy.
I think that's the hardest thing is getting to that point where it is again, like, what's the worst that could happen?
Mm.
Or what's that insert the sound, how hard could it be? Boys do it.
Yes. Yes. Well, first of all, yes. If boys are doing it, it's super easy. But I think, like, yes, I love that you, like, highlight, like, your degrees and the ways that you've been able to merge those and build your own niche. Like, Case is so good at building her own niche and really believing in that niche and her unique abilities and superpowers, and I think that's a big I think layoffs are deeply terrible, so I don't wanna lean too far and frame this as an opportunity for folks, but I think they can be a moment of deep pause and reflection where you get to really assess your career. It's against your will, so there's a lot of grief there and frustration there because you were like, "Why would I wanna reassess when I feel like I had what I wanted?" And still, like, wherever we go, there we are, and, like, with layoffs, that's one of those things, and I think it becomes an opportunity to really think about what skills are you bringing in, what are you maybe not utilizing, and what are the unique talents or abilities that maybe you've cast aside that this world could really use and really need. Right now, I do a lot of trainings, and the biggest part of my trainings right now has been meditation. I didn't think meditation would take up so much. I thought it would always be like doing anti-racist practice, but right now, because people are so stressed, I took coursework in meditation that ended up being a really helpful corporate skill right now. I would have never guessed that. So, what's the weird class you took in undergrad that taught you something random that you didn't think you'd bring back? Or what's the weird seminar you took in grad school that now might have purpose or meaning in a new way? Like, draw upon that too and really, really use that. And that actually me up to our closing question, which is just to highlight for some of our new audience members, we like to do a segment called Sacred Dissent, where we think about the topic and how we dissent from it, or how we think differently about it, or how we're troubling it. So, what is sacred dissent for you around career, around
Yeah.
layoffs or change?
Yeah. My sacred descent when it comes to corporate culture has always been unapologetically being Black.
You are good at that. You are.
Because I high key get a kick out of, like, when I change my hair and people are like, "What?" Like, I'm getting a weave on Friday. I can't and then I'm going on a business trip, I get there on Sunday. Honey, when I walk off that plane, I can't wait for people to be like, "Wait, is that Cass?" Yeah, because normally I got my curly whatever. Like, I love that so much. And I think there's these moments where people, like, are making jokes that you think that, like that because it's, like, white culture, you think everybody understands it, and I really be confused. I'll be like, I don't know what that means.
You're like, "I'm not gonna give you a
I don't
pity."
watch The Bachelor." Like, I don't watch that show. It's not my thing. But then when they when I make a joke about, like, Beyonce or something, they're like,
They
"Huh?"
don't know
I'm
either.
like, How do you not know that? Like, I live for that. Like, it is my corporate, like, that is I just find it so funny.
Make them uncomfortable. No, I'm with you on that. I
I
think that, like,
but I think it's also it's, like, highlights how, like, you really do think you're the center of everything that I
yeah.
do. I'm not saying you're the center of the world. Like, you think you're the center of everything I do. I got so many more things that I am interested in than
Mm,
standing on this stage. Love my job. I love what I do. I get the opportunity to write and create and to meet all sorts of people and to educate. I really enjoy that. But that's not all of who I am. There's so
yeah,
much more to me
yeah,
than what I do in these four walls that pay my mortgage. Like,
yeah.
and so for people to have the audacity to think that my whole sense of being is wrapped up in trying to socialize with them and talk about The Bachelor
Mhm,
is not I'm not a black girl that watches The Bachelor. Now,
yeah,
you wanna talk about lace front wigs and black girl TikTok? I'm
mhm,
here for it.
mhm, mhm.
How do you not know? I had a manager a few like, it was 2 years ago. We were having a group dinner, and she was talking about something we were talking about the Beyoncé concert and what we were gonna wear, and I was saying I was laughing at a creator who had made this whole thing of, like, these are the things we're not gonna do at the Beyoncé concert, and one of them was don't get a fresh lace front wig, which I thought was so practical because you're just gonna sweat and you're gonna be hot.
Yeah.
And so I was laughing at that, and I shared it with the table, and my manager at the time was like, "I don't know what a lace front is."
Yeah,
I
well,
was
that's
like
crazy.
and
We
I,
have
without
our own.
a beat, was like, "How do you not know what that is?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, I mean, do people wear wigs all the time?"
Yes, girl.
And then I said, "You think that's all of Dolly Parton's hair?"
That's the thing is that I'm sorry to yawn. But that's the thing is I do think white women cannot perceive when other white women have wigs or weaves, which is crazy, but that's crazy in itself. But I think it also shows hair culture and the assumption that, like, all
Oh,
white
that's
women
gonna be episode 2, Black girls and hair
oh,
culture at work.
we should do a whole thing on hair culture in the workplace. But I think, like, I love that your sacred descent is being who you are culturally and allowing white people to sit in their discomfort about the fact that they live in a nation full of black people, but have no curiosity about black culture. Like, I think I love that. And it's so funny because I thought I was going to say that mine is joy, like, because we talked about a lot of like joy, but maybe mine is actually being unapologetically queer because I mentioned being a lesbian every day. And someone has to hear about they gonna hear about this lesbianism right now. You know what I mean? So I think like I always am making gay jokes and being about being queer woman, and, like being a queer person, and I know it entertains my colleagues, and like it's like like
I
it's
I wanna be a fly on the wall for these
honestly
meetings.
it can be inappropriate. Like I have a queer male colleague as well, and the other day I was like putting something together, I was screwing something in, and then he was like. I know you have strong hands. Sir, that is inappropriate. But we make so many gay jokes. He's gay too. I'm like, that's fine.
You're like, "You're not wrong, though."
Period. I'm screwing the fuck out of this shit. I'm screwing the fuck out of it. But yeah, I think like I definitely bring in my queerness and I make everyone suffer for it because they gonna hear about it.
But I think that's like listen, I'm right there with you, and I think that that is so hopefully somebody who's listening finds these encouraging because I so much of our corporate life is meant to make it feel like we're weird. No,
Yeah.
corporate culture is weird. The
Yeah.
whole idea of it is weird. It
It's
is
super
weird.
weird.
It's
It's super
so
weird.
not
It's
serious.
we like made our own Twilight Zone. Sometimes I think like whenever I'm at work, I'm like, we made it this way. Literally, whoever you believe in, divine, creation, Big Bang, whatever it is. We got this earth from scratch, and then we made the work. We said capitalism. Let's make people work till they die. Hi. And then we said, let's put all these rules and regulations in the workplace. It's like we human beings were addicted to our own suffering because only in that framework will we create what we have fucking created. But that's okay. This is why we're dissenting with our black gayness. Okay.
Correct. Every
Yes.
time.
Why we're
Like,
dissenting.
yeah, I am just I'm here with it. Well, and first of all, the way we started and the way we ended always is so much like and I think that also is like why this is so necessary. Actually, sometimes I'll be like, I don't care if nobody listens to this. Me and Ciarra are having a time. I love that we are able to have these conversations because it does show that like no matter where we are, there no matter where we go, there we are, and we are
Mm,
right there with whoever is listening. And I just
yes.
we're so living through this time in the same way. And it brings me so much joy to be able to share this, not just with you as my friend, but with just the masses. And I really do feel like this season is going to be so great. We've
It
got
is.
so many great ideas. We're going to bring some guests on. We'll have
Oh, yeah.
Ada. We're going to still go back to the deconstruction content.
They'll be a part of it. They're connected, work and well-being and deconstruction.
Absolutely.
So they're all gonna be connected. I mean, right now, the US, two of the biggest things that people are thinking about is religion and work. So I know that folks will connect with us. And as Cass said, we're right there with you. We're in the struggle. We are Black women living in this time and trying to find joy in each other, in our community, in our lovers.
I don't have one of those anymore.
You don't know. Cass is a hot commodity out here. You guys don't even know. You don't even know. Dallas is lit up right now, okay, with Miss Cass,
Because
okay?
we outside.
We're outside. Anyway, Cass, I'm gonna keep rambling. Take us out. You got a quote or something?
Okay, I just have a quote. I got nothing. Thank you so much for listening. Join us in Patreon. We look forward to hearing you next. If there's a topic that you want us to cover when it comes to corporate life, wellness, well-being, rhythm of life, deconstruction, please send us a message in Patreon. And you never know, maybe your video or something will be in a clip, and maybe we'll invite you on. You never know.
Inshallah. We're definitely gonna be doing more with our Patreon community this year. I'm excited to drop in a little bit. I want to start doing some Sunday garden chats with our Patreon community.
We're gonna do our webinars. We got it.
Webinars, and we're gonna have a good time. I appreciate you, friend, and love our audience. And we'll be back in just a couple weeks.
Sounds great.
Bye. If today's conversation resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more people find this space of exploration and connection.
And if you want to go even deeper, support us on Patreon. Your membership helps us keep these conversations going and gives you exclusive access to great content.
Because this isn't just a podcast, it's a community. And no matter where you are in your journey,
we're right there with you.